shopping is the act of like, oh, I'm just out here looking for things to buy.
Yeah.
Curating is saying I'm building a collection of things that are going to serve me in some way, shape, or form. So when you look at clothing shopping as a pastime, you fall a lot faster into impulse spending. You end up spending money, but the money that you're spending does not feel fulfilling in the long run. Whereas if you shift it from being a pastime to a project, that's when you're now curating. And it should be a project. It should require a little research. It should require looking around at different places. You do not need to buy just because you walked in a store. It is okay to walk into a store, look at things, touch things, try something on, and leave without buying anything.
Hey, money healers. Welcome to the Money Healing Club podcast. I'm Rachel Duncan, your host. I'm a financial therapist and art therapist, and I founded the Money Healing Club. You've come to the softest place to land in personal finance, where we talk about all the things we don't usually say when we talk about money. This podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. For help with your particular situation, please seek help from a licensed mental health, tax, legal, or finance professional. So when it comes to spending, does the category of clothes have a special place in your heart and wallet? I know it does for me. Your clothes might relate to your body, your career, your uniqueness, your belonging, your identity, as well as an impulse spending category all of its own. It's deeply emotional, isn't it? This topic comes up all the time with Money Healing Club members and my financial therapy clients, so it's time to really explore our relationship with clothing. Today on the podcast, I have a great conversation with Kyla Brown. Kyla, not Kayla, is a style coach who helps brilliant women create brilliant closets. I personally have worked with Kyla to help identify the best items for my body type and my career and my identity. And I just had to bring her on the podcast because the way she talks about clothing and how we curate our wardrobe is so aligned with how I talk about money. She is so intentional in her work, and she believes that your style is an opportunity to integrate your whole self. As we come into a change of season, if you find that clothing is not only a big part of your spending, but also a very emotional thing, you're going to love this conversation I have with Kyla. We talk about the big concept stuff all the way down to nitty-gritty of how to build a personal style with values-based spending. Listen up for her list of essential items for your wardrobe. It's a great list. Enjoy my talk with Kyla Brown.
Getting clear on what you want and what that requires of you, and redefining what investment means on an energetic level. Because one thing I mentioned in that piece of content I sent you was that, anything that requires like your time, your energy, your money is a level of investment that you're hoping to get some return from. The return, it may not be monetary, but having the understanding that monetary returns aren't the only returns you're looking for in this life, and sometimes they end up being a byproduct of making a change, but sometimes they're not the only thing you're looking for. And when you look at it that way, it's easier to start thinking about curating and what success is for you and what it is you're looking for. So
welcome to the podcast, Kyla. I want to start by showing you the result of our work together. You advised me on the kind of jean jacket I should buy based on my body type, which I had never considered before. And because I'm an hourglass, you recommended that I get a jean jacket that fits at the and I'm a thrifter though, so I scoured ThredUp, like props to ThredUp. If anyone, I'll put my link in the show notes. Love a ThredUp. And just having the guidance of finding a piece of clothing that suits my body, like I will never take this off. It fits me perfectly. And I have to say, if I hadn't talked with you, I would have gotten some oversized thing. And so anyway, I just wanted to share, those of you on video can see my great little stonewashed thrifted jean jacket that kind of elevates every outfit. So thank you for that wonderful guidance.
No problem. And I'm obsessed with it. I love it. It's definitely a great fit on you. And I love that you took that action step, because you would be shocked, like one or two items will completely shift your entire closet. Like you really don't need to start from scratch. Most people just have some gaps.
Yeah, that was it. I had some gaps. And then I was like, well, I've got these jeans, but I don't feel good in them. And you were like, then don't wear them. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yes.
It's like
I was
permission slip.
I had that conversation yesterday with a client. She's like, yeah, it's just like it's tight on my arms and I don't like it. And I'm like, so
Do
why is
not.
it taking up real estate?
That is
Let it go.
okay. That ain't for your body, or it ain't for
Yes.
your body anymore, right? I mean, I'm a woman in my
Mm-mm.
40s. What fit me 10 years ago absolutely doesn't. So, like, why would I need that? It's fine. Like, move on.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
I have loved taking the little, we've had a whole conversation on the DMs, and we're taking it now here live in a conversation. And because you had created some, well, you create great content. Everyone follow Kyla on
Thank
Instagram,
you.
but about clothing and success and what that means for you, what investing in your wardrobe actually means. And we've had some deep conversations about this because Kyla has helped me with some styling. But it opened up such a great conversation. And I will say, because I think with a lot of the folks in the club and who I work with, it is the clothing is probably the most common type of impulse buying. So
Mm.
where do we can start from the beginning of like why do you think that is? Why is the clothing is sort of the thing that is really hard to have willpower about and
Mhm.
is just so emotional?
Yes. Wow. That's a very good question. I think it's a twofold. I think that first things first, we have the problematic industry that is fast fashion that makes it extremely accessible to the point where it's becoming much more about impulse purchasing than it is about functionality. Like, do you actually need these pieces? But then also on a personal level, we get dressed every day. It is our one habit that we like really like have to do or at least should do on a daily basis. And because of that, when we are looking for comfort, when we are looking for change, when we are looking for the question of like, who am I? Your clothes are a major part of that, whether you're fully aware of it or not. So I think that when it comes to like that impulse buying of like, hey, I went to Marshall's and I found a thing and I bought the thing and I'm wearing it one time and maybe I'll wear it again. I don't know. That kind of comes from us looking at to a clothing item or anything external to us and expecting it to tell us who we are
Mm.
or that we're allowed to feel better or that, we deserve happiness versus us letting ourselves know that and then making decisions from that empowered place.
You're talking about inside out instead of outside in approach. I don't know what you're talking about. That's my
Hmm.
whole mantra. You know, that's so true.
Yes.
And so much goes on with our clothing. We are signaling personality, interests,
Yeah.
and also subconsciously class. You know, there's so much
Yes.
about our identity. Like, hey, I've got a boho look because like boho people are my people. Like that is a look
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I can be a little conscious about that. I live in Colorado, right? There's a certain
Yeah.
dress code. Like, is this the most Colorado thing
Yes.
you've ever seen? It totally is. Like, this suits my
It
culture.
works.
It
It
works.
works.
I'm a therapist, so I wear statement earrings. Let's get real,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's okay to be honest about, right? That like,
Yes.
okay, yes,
Yes.
I'm in this life with the people around me and I want to be part of my group. That's all we want is to be part
Yeah.
of our group. And so it is a uniform in terms of fitting in. But then don't we have this funny rub? But then I also want to be different. Like I want to
Yes.
be different like everyone else. I don't know. Like, does that
Oh,
come
the
up for
human
you? I
experience.
know. Aren't
Oh,
we funny?
absolutely. I think that is so spot on. Like, I'm actually laughing at myself too because I'm looking very New York today with my like
You are
black
like, are you in New York
turtleneck.
right
And
now?
I am in New York right now. And it's so funny because when I am traveling to the Caribbean, which I spent some time there, I'm lucky enough to have family there. When I am there, I tend to be very brightly colored, not as sleek, much more like, laid back. Whereas when I get to New York, that's my excuse to be sleek and sophisticated in my style again. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is actually something beautiful to that belonging because that is a bit more of an inside out approach to your style. It's saying like this is where I fit in or where I desire to fit in. Like I mean, you're going to show up to your office dressed appropriately. You're going to
Yeah.
go to the beach dressed appropriately, so there's a function to it. At the same time, though, I do tell people that there is going to come a point in your life where belonging shifts and changes.
Mm-hmm.
You might start off being, you know, like a junior entry level at work, right? And then move up to a place where you're now managing people and you're a leader now. And it's not to say that you must look better than everybody else because you're in charge, but it's more so because of you being a leader. People are the type of connection people are looking to form with you is that of inspiration, not relatability. So I
Okay,
think
hang on.
that
Can you say that again? I'm gonna back up.
that of inspiration, not relatability.
Right now,
And
hi,
that's
I'm just one
okay.
of you guys. I'm holding the space of leadership, of direction, things like
Yes.
that. And I feel
Yes.
like I know you work with a lot of women, not exclusively, but a lot of women. I think that's part of the stretch. I can imagine for myself, like, oh, I just want to be one of the
Mhm.
people, but I'm also in charge, and like, kind of trying to have your foot in both rooms. And that's
Yeah.
tricky. How do you help someone who is, advancing their career? Let's take an example of someone who is maybe in an industry where they are applying for a promotion or could see like an upward trajectory there.
Yeah.
And they're concerned that like, oh, I still like dress like I did in college or something like that. Like how do you help them elevate that look in an appropriate way that will actually help their career growth?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that the key there for anybody who's looking, who recognizes that their next step, their next level requires visibility, is getting clear about what it means for you to look great every day.
Mm.
And some people, when I say that, they roll their eyes and they're like, look great every day. That's not realistic. And I'm like, actually, it very well could be, but you get to define what looking great for yourself is.
Mhm.
So, just like anything else in life, set a standard around it that's based off your values and give yourself boundaries around what that means. Like, of course, you have the boundary of like, you can't be in the mirror for 3 hours every morning. No. But at the same time, looking put together, making sure you always have a little extra accessory on, like a belt, an earring, something to just really look elevated. And the reason I say that is tying back to that point on inspiration over relatability. People, you're going to lower morale if you're coming in dressing how you feel for the day.
Mm. Mhm.
If you show up to
Mm.
work, sometimes it's not to say don't have the work-life balance, but if you're showing up to work and whether or not things move forward based or just based off of what your mood was that morning, that is not a way to be successful at all. So take that same understanding with the way we get dressed in the morning. Of course, dress for your comfort level. We're women, we have cycles, things shift and change. So comfort is okay. But saying that I don't feel like it, so I'm just going to show up with whatever leggings, big t shirt combination I can pull out my wardrobe first,
The
is
millennial curse of
the
leggings
millennial
and
curse. It's my life's mission to save us all from that curse. Please,
do it.
please. And what's crazy is you don't really want to dress that way. You don't.
And if you
It's
think about, would you want your manager to be dressed like, how does that impact
yeah,
you? There's hitting this sweet spot of having slightly elevated but not obnoxious, or hitting that
yeah,
place and also still having some personality. I mean,
yes,
yeah, navigating that.
yeah.
Are you a fan of kind of like capsule wardrobe? I'm curious.
I am a huge fan of capsule wardrobes.
Okay.
One of my number one um offers out there is I'm literally looking at it because it's sitting on my desk right here, is my closet essentials checklist.
Yeah.
And I say that every person, regardless of how they identify in their style, whether they feel like they're boho or they feel like they're preppy, should have these items in their wardrobe. And that's a good pair of jeans that works for you, like we talked about. Having a great, clean white t-shirt,
I
having
still don't have.
um, it's okay. It's a journey. It's a journey.
Someone help me
And
find a white t-shirt. Okay.
you're still curating. It's okay. And I feel like, having those items is what makes looking great easy. And again, like you said, it's not about being obnoxious. It's not like you have to be like pantsuit and blazers when people show up to your office wearing like jeans. Like you don't have to do that. But there is a difference between showing up in a pair of jeans and a college t-shirt versus showing up in a pair of jeans and a great blouse. And it takes just as much energy to show up in both of those
Mhm.
things, both of those items. But at the same time, the way that you shift the energy around you with those items is completely different.
Yeah. It's that
Yeah.
intentionality, right? It
The
is intentional. I
intentionality.
intentionally chose these earrings. It is a
Yes.
little bit of mindfulness. And I
Hmm.
think this, what we were talking about earlier about inside out versus outside in, right? That's going to help us not get sucked into trends. Um,
Hmm.
right. Or like are hopping on all the fast fashion stuff that this really the constant newness and all that. I mean, I love new things, but there is something about clothing that really speaks to like our fantasy self. And that's something we
Yes.
talk about a lot in the club. Are we buying that for you or for your fantasy self? I remember talking to
Mm.
someone who, would buy a lot of dresses because they look beautiful, right? Look,
Hmm.
love the style, love the look. And we identify there's a fantasy version of
Yes.
she didn't never wore them. She didn't actually wear dresses. But oh, there's a version of myself that wears these dresses and goes to the beach or whatever.
You
And we kind
know?
of identified maybe a little bit of grief that actually the person you
Mhm.
are is different and that's okay. So
Mhm.
this actually comes to like self-acceptance. And it's not about downgrading. It's
Yes.
like, what's really your life? And if you
Yeah.
have a lot of stuff in the closet you're not wearing, I would just very lovingly ask, did you buy that for a fantasy self? Not for you.
Hmm. I love that you call it the fantasy self as well, because I do think that there's one thing towards, like, just for the job you want, like, and you're maybe not fully there yet,
Mhm.
but you're trying to show up there as a means of getting there. And that is one thing. But fantasy self is, this isn't your lifestyle. You're not taking the efforts to make it your lifestyle in the near future anytime soon. It's just something to give you that dopamine hit because you saw it, it made you happy, and now you want to leave with it so you can have ownership over it. I, as a stylist, see things I like all the time and never buy. I never
Yeah.
buy. I'm like, wow, that's really great. Keep it moving and don't allow myself to shop for hits. Instead, shop for what I need in my lifestyle and like where I am going, because I know that where I'm going, I'm actively working on. Yeah, but while I would love to, be on vacation every day, having a wardrobe for that is not, it's not where I'm going. And that, I think that when that happens, I notice that that is when you don't fully, I'm trying to find a very delicate way of saying this, but it is what it is. You don't fully know yourself
Yeah.
yet. And you're trying to dress for what you think it should be or what you wish it was versus like really getting to know where you are now and
Mhm.
then taking action based off of that.
It
Does that
makes me
make
think
sense?
actually what really helped me in our session is to identify the body type I have. And now we're talking at a very
Mhm.
deep level of body acceptance and
Yes.
to maybe not have a fantasy body, right? Can we
Yes.
accept the body that we have? Because actually, when we do
Yeah.
that, when we can, and this is hard work, I'm not saying it's like a snap of the fingers, but accepting and understanding the body you have can, well, on a practical level, lead you to clothing choices that will actually suit you and, look better. Um,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it really can be part of this inner journey of this is the body I have, and I've gone through this a lot, like being in my late 40s now, and had two children and whatever all life, I am the heaviest I've ever
Yes.
been right now. I've also never felt as good and embodied as I do right now. So I really spent the first 30 years of my life being a very thin person, like just genetically very thin. And I think there's been this shift of me buying clothing or presenting myself as this very thin young woman. I'm like, well, I'm a 45-year-old woman with a bit of a mom bod. And to instead of rejecting
Mhm.
that, to actually accept that. Like I would have never chosen a jacket with a short waist because I
Yes.
gotta hide this rump. That was my feeling. But oh
Yeah.
wow, no, that actually having the short waist balances my body and it looks better. And then I can like embrace the rump. So I just want to share like
Yes.
that's been a bit of my own journey in that in terms of body acceptance. Yeah, hourglass, everyone.
Embrace the
Hourglass.
rump.
Yes, we have rumps, you guys. It's okay to have
Yes.
bottoms. It's all right.
Yes. And it's so funny that you say that because I mean, we all grew up with something telling us there's something incorrect about us. And that is oftentimes where the fantasy self is rooted, or the fantasy body is rooted, is in I am not enough. And that is why I need to buy these things, do these unhealthy habits so that I can try my best to like just get there, or feel like I'm there for even a minute. And then you end up having a closet full of things that don't even really fit you, which is really going to make the whole situation even worse, because instead of just getting to know you, you're becoming anti you, whether you realize it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
This is right. This isn't even my closet. Who am I?
Who is this? Yes,
Who is
exactly.
this? And yeah, I know I'm like a deep thinker and deep feeler about all this stuff, but it is such a personal and intense inner journey, I think, to think about your style. Right. This,
Yes.
even though we're putting it on the outside, this is not just outside stuff. This is actually deeply rooted stuff. And why actually having like a really wonderful, compassionate guide and having this relationship can be very healing. And I know just even in our
Yes.
one session, it was very healing for me. Um, I'm wondering, I'd actually love to talk a little bit of tips and tricks, if that's okay. Like you talk about your
Yes.
essentials checklist.
Hmm.
And I know this, I mean, are we kind of gearing this to, women presenting people, or, do you work with male
Yes.
presenting people too? I'm not sure.
Work with women presenting. I work with my femmes, and I do have men who slide in my DMs from time to time, and they're like, "So what about me?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have." And if you are a man out there or male presenting and you are interested in being styled, feel free to DM me. I have a list of folks that I share with people.
Okay.
Um, but it really is in my heart to work with women.
Yeah.
I really, really deeply enjoy the process of helping them find themselves, discover themselves, because there are very few spaces for us to do that on an intimate, personal level. We oftentimes do that in community, and I think that is great, and we should continue to do that. But sometimes there's a level to it where a woman just has to decide, like, who am I going to be? I do want to stand out a bit. Yes, I belong, but I do want to stand out a bit. And like, what does that mean for me? And I hold your hand and we walk through that process together.
Belong and stand out,
And
right? That is
out.
what we're
You can
all
have
searching
both.
for all the time. I think you can.
Yes.
Yes.
You can. You totally can. And I think that what it's really about is curating for yourself what your world is going to look like. And that is in your closet, that is in your home, that's in your friendships and relationships. Curating your experiences, that's even with the food you eat, that's even with, and we get to build our own universes. And I think that women did not have the opportunity to do that for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are one of the first generations to fully get to do that now. And as we're doing it, we can see that there are very angry, bitter people who don't want us to have that and are trying to take it away, but it's too late now.
No.
We're here.
Often when I'm working with folks whose number one issue is impulse spending, the answer is not spend less. Like that just doesn't work. And that's probably been all the advice they've had, because folks who impulse spend, especially if that thing they tend to impulse buy is clothing, cosmetics, things like that, they likely have great taste and a love of
Yes.
beauty. Like these are wonderful things to honor, and that ain't going to stop. Like that would be
No.
really sad to stop that. And that's why the idea of spending less, it feels so crappy, is because like, well, this is such a big part of me. I love beauty, or it's important for me to present myself. And so I like to gradually shift into curation, because
Yes.
curation involves a yes, but it involves a lot of no's. Like that carefully, there's a lot of things you're not choosing when you are curating your wardrobe, your look,
Yes.
whatever it is, and that it's careful. And that, like, yes, this is the yes. My yes is really clear. And that meant I needed to say no to a lot of things. And it's a slowing down. You think about like
Yes.
museum curator, that is a slow, careful, excellent job. And that is actually
Yes.
when we can shift a little more into that, take some breaths with this fast fashion, rewear things that are years old and be really good with that, because they were curated. It's like my favorite word. I just love that word. think it really speaks to this shift of like still loving beauty.
It does. It does. And I think it also reframes shopping, especially as we know it here in, the West, the US,
Mhm.
Canada, wherever you are. We see shopping, we were marketed as shopping is like a spree, shop
Yeah.
till you drop. This thing that just brings joy, especially for women and femmes. We're just supposed to love, love, love shopping. And, you know, shopping is not really the best way to approach clothes.
Yeah.
Curating is. Shopping is the act of like, oh, I'm just out here looking for things to buy.
Yeah.
Curating is saying I'm building a collection of things that are going to serve
Mhm.
me in some way, shape, or form. So when you look at clothing shopping as a pastime, you fall a lot faster into impulse spending. You end
Mhm.
up spending money, but the money that you're spending does not feel fulfilling in the long run. Whereas if you shift it from being a pastime to a project, that's when you're now curating. And it should be a project. It should require a little research. It should require looking around at different places. You do not need to buy just because you walked in a store. It is okay
Mhm.
to walk into a store, look at things, touch things, try something on, and leave
Mhm.
without buying anything. There's no shame in that.
And also, it's such an act of empowerment. Like, if you have not left
Yes.
a store empty-handed, I encourage you to try it because
Yes.
because anything money related, this is consent, right? You spend your
Yes. Ooh.
money because you consent to, not because you feel bad or you feel guilty that you're
Mhm.
leaving without buying anything. I get it. Let's say it's a mom and pop shop or you know the owner. It is okay to leave without buying something because that reclaims your agency. It's okay. I just want to
Yes.
give big permission to that. And it's a good practice. Like what does that feel like? For me, it's like I feel so much more kind of contained. Like, no, I do have choices here. I have absolutely bought things out of guilt. That's like even different from impulse shopping, guilt shopping. Like, oh, I feel
Yes.
so bad. Like I didn't buy anything and they were so nice and I felt like I had
Nice.
to. Oh, and that's an ick feeling too.
That's an ick feeling. And the thing is, for like a practical way to go about that, what I do is when I go into a store, when they say, "How can I help you?" Of course, you can say, "I'm just looking around today and just wanted to see what's out there." They might even show you some things and have a conversation with you. And then you'll say, "Well, you know what? It wouldn't hurt to try it on, but I didn't have any plans to buy today. Just looking."
Ooh, I
And then
didn't
when
have
you
any plans to buy today. And
buy
then you've
today,
said it, they've heard it.
heard it. We've diffused the situation, the
Take it back.
expectations of sales associate. I have to help them make sure they, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever excuses we come up in their head. And when it's time for you to leave, I'll say thank you.
Always.
Just say thank
Don't
you.
slink out. It's okay.
You don't
All right,
have to be
everyone.
shamed.
Okay, I want everyone to repeat after me. It was not my plan to buy something today. It's
Mhm.
okay. That's
Yeah.
great. And then we're
Yes.
all setting expectations, especially for yourself.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
I think one of the
Exactly.
worst feelings is letting ourselves down. Crossing our own boundaries
Yes.
really sucks. And I've done that. Like one of my first TikToks was talking about I'd gone to I don't know, Ulta for makeup. And they don't price things. It's just so annoying. And I get to the counter and I kind of had added up in my head what I thought it might be. And it was like a good $50 over that. But it was like this awkward moment.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, and I bought it and I can't return, and I was just like, it totally crossed my own boundary. I should have, been like, you know what? I'm gonna
Yeah.
look for something else and like been okay with that. But there was this like moment of being on the spot and this social pressure. And I think that was the grossest feeling is that I crossed my own boundary. I could have had a lot more integrity then. And I reflect on that a lot. And I think
Yeah.
that helped even reflecting on that misstep has helped me have more integrity next time I go in. Right. It's like, yeah, the
Yes.
project, I'm
Yes.
going to research this. It's okay to return stuff. It's okay to be like, oops, you know what? That is not quite what I was intending. What else do
Yes.
you have that's similar at a lower price point? These are okay things to ask.
Yes. And I think too, when it comes to giving yourself the permission to ask those questions, you end up feeling great about your closet, but you also end up having a lot more use out of your closet
Hmm.
now. Because when you really take the time to ask yourself those questions, take the time to research a little. One another thing I always say to folks is go in there with a shopping list. Like the same way going grocery shopping when you're hungry will lead you to buy things. Going into any mall, any store, shopping online without a clear understanding of what you need means that you're leaving with things that you probably don't need.
Yeah.
And maybe you might like strike gold once or twice and get those really good pieces. We all have those in our closet, but for the most part, the rest of it is just a mess.
Yeah.
And yeah, give yourself permission to take your time. You don't have to rush.
I will say, the story with these earrings is they were at this massage place. My sister and I had gotten massages. Nicola, if you're listening, and I'd kind of admired them. We were like waiting to check out. Those are pretty, but I wasn't planning on buying them. And she bought them for me. And it was like this lovely little memento of this lovely time we had together. And like they're one of the things I wear the most. And because it was careful also. Like, I tend to go thrifting, so, but it made it actually like a really special thing. And then like this lovely memento. And I love rewearing my things, especially ones that have a story. And I think it's something that I've learned in the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years is wear your good stuff. For a long time.
Yes.
My mom is like this too, like don't wear your nice stuff. I'm like, well, so you're gonna wear the cheap stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, wear your good stuff. It's okay.
Wear your good stuff. You should be wearing your good stuff daily. You are actually, I believe, wasting money when you get good stuff and you never use it. And instead you get things that you don't love and use those every day instead because you don't want to waste money by using the good thing that you bought.
Don't want to mess it up. I know. And
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, I recognize like, hey, I have spilled ketchup on a white t-shirt before. I get it. Like, we don't want to mess things up. But also, your pieces are meant to be used and worn. And those good stuff that you have, like, of course, take care of them. But also recognize that there is no limit to the amount of good stuff that's out there in the world. So if you have an amazing dress that you never wear, a great jacket that you never wear because it's the good thing that you love the most, but you keep denying yourself from enjoying and using, use it. And if the day comes that it really has become tattered and worn and it can't be worn again, have trust that you can find another good stuff out there.
Yeah. And repair stuff. That's
and
a lost
repair
art.
stuff.
That's a lost art.
Exactly. Your local tailor, your local cobbler, keep them in business. They need you and you need them.
Especially shoes. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kyla. We can just, Kyle and I could talk all day long. Okay, but I do want your checklist. Could you go over the checklist of the essentials for us women presenting people? I love your checklist.
The checklist, folks.
Checklist. It's gorgeous.
On this list, okay, so we have a white t-shirt, a neutral tank top. We have a neutral long sleeve top, a white button down top, preferably cotton, a neutral bodysuit, any sleeve. The reason I say that is because they can be very forgiving and really easy for layering as well when in the colder months. We have denim, including one pair of light wash, one medium, one dark. I am a personal stylist and I have 4 pairs of jeans. That's all I need. They get perfectly great use. They get repaired when they need to be repaired. And then when it's time to get some new ones, I'll get some new ones. But I don't need to have a bunch of things. Keeping on the theme of pants, 1 pair of light neutral pants, 1 pair of dark neutral pants works. When the warmer weather comes, you want a pair of denim shorts, a pair of neutral shorts, having a neutral skirt. And also, I'm using the word neutral a lot.
Yeah,
just to make sure everyone knows that's like anything black, gray, brown, or navy, or white.
Okay, right. Not hot pink. Like that is an accent piece. Not hot pink.
Not red, not yellow,
which
not
we
green.
Love. But those are your accent pieces. Yeah.
Yes. And as I move through this list, you'll hear that a lot of these are neutrals because this allows you to have the basis of what a capsule wardrobe is. And then from there, you can purchase those more accent pieces and build those into your wardrobe. But these are items that are going to carry you through the day to day. So continuing on this list, you've all heard of the little black dress. I do believe you do need one. For those who live in the colder weather, a good trench coat, it carries you through like 2.5 of the 4 seasons. A neutral blazer, a leather jacket, a denim jacket, with shoes, you want a pair of flats, a pair of heels, a pair of white sneakers, Nutra boots and sandals. And then for accessories, dark leather belts and a leather bag. And those are all the items I say everyone should have. And you'll note that just with this alone, a bunch of outfits can be made. There's over 100 different combinations in this list alone. And with that being said as well, you can still build this out by adding in the accent pieces, adding in the interest pieces, adding in the mementos that are going to really add personality to your wardrobe. And when you do that, you know that you can wear them very easily by mixing and matching them with these essentials.
I love that. I love that list. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you're like reading that list, some of those I have and some of those I don't. And I can see that like there have been times where like I'm at a conference, like, oh no, I don't have slacks. I really could do with some slacks, right? So it is some of those
Yes.
basics. And it sounds like a lot of this is geared to work, but it doesn't have to be, right? But if we have, even if you're self-employed or if you're on Zoom all day like I am, and you're dressing from the waist up, that's okay. But having these pieces can also dress up, dress down, all of that, right?
Yes. Yes. Dress up, dress down. They can take you to work. They can take you for just a weekend. They can even help you if you have something fancy that comes up too as well. Especially having that little black dress is good. But I do suggest for folks not to consider the different options that there are out there for those fancier occasions. We live in a beautiful age of clothing rental, consignment, secondhand. I highly suggest that if you're going to get something for like a wedding, like it actually does to me make far more sense to rent that from Rent the Runway or Newly than it does to feel like you need to buy that and then you don't want to take another picture in something like that again. And, so I highly suggest for those items, feel free to rent them. And that allows you to build a closet that really actually makes sense for your life versus having a closet for the fantasy. Yes.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Could you go over the different body types just real quick? And people might know this, but I'm a silly girl who did not know this stuff until I met you. Could you go over the different body types real quick?
Of course, of course. So I use the 5 classic body types, but I have a little bit of a spin on them. So of course, we talked about hourglass. The hourglass body type means that your shoulders and your hips are approximately the same width, and your waist is your narrowest point. We have what I call the strawberry, which can sometimes be called the inverted triangle, but I don't think anybody in this life wants to be referred to as an inverted triangle.
Like strawberry.
And sometimes it's called a carrot, which works, but I don't love it because that makes the assumption that you're long, lean, and tall, and you're not always. So I think strawberry works better. That simply means that your shoulders or your bust are the widest point on your body, and then your hips and your waist are more narrow. We have the apple body type, which means your waist is the widest point, whereas your shoulders and your hips are more narrow. We have the pear, which means that your hips are the widest point and your waist and your shoulders are most narrow. And then we have the straight body type, which means that you're about the same width going all the way down. And these body types can change over time, especially for women. These body types also apply to men, those same exact 5 body types. These body types can change over time. You might start off with one body type, and then at some point, maybe after you have kids or maybe after you get a little bit older, you notice that your body type has shifted a little. That is perfectly normal, happens all the time, which is why I ended up building out actually an AI tool, which felt so cool to do. But it allows you to like talk back and forth with my bot, and it's been trained after me, and it kind of goes through like, okay, your body is going through changes, or oh, you want to figure out what your body type is. You want to learn what works for you. Should I buy this dress? Should I not buy this dress? And it is your little buddy that helps you with that.
That was great. I will let us know how we can get that. I'll put it all in the show notes.
I will give you that link. It's really exciting. People got it. People who've used it have been like, oh my gosh, wait, this is amazing. And I'm like, yes, it's me in your pocket. Yes.
Yeah. Just as a side note, Kyla's a little bit of a techie geek. So that is a fun thing that I know about you that you bring in.
Thank you. Yes, it's one of my favorite superpowers.
It's a great superpower. That is wonderful. Kyla, how can people reach you and what kind of stuff are you offering
Yes.
right now?
Yes. So you can reach me across all platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm everywhere at ITS. It's Kyla, Kyla, not Kayla. You can also find me at it's Kyla, not Kayla.com.
I
And
love
the
your
story
domain.
being, thank you. I've had this handle for over a decade now. And the reason I used it is because I've always, growing up, when I was a little more afraid to stand out and so desperately wanted to belong, people would call me by the wrong name all the time and I wouldn't even correct them because I would feel like, I'm just glad to get called on. As sad as that is, but a lot of us are still doing that now in our adult life in different ways. So everything that I'm about as it relates to style, your image, is about really allowing yourself to get to know yourself and then unapologetically showing up as that daily. So you can find me. It's kylanotKayla.com everywhere. I work with people one-on-one, and I also have workshops with groups. So if you follow me on my platforms, you'll know when I'm enrolling for the next workshop. But if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can always shoot me a DM and we can get things started.
That's so great. All right, Kyla, I want to end with, I almost called you Kayla there.
It becomes tempting after I say it too much.
I promise I won't. All right, I want to end with a question that I ask all my guests, which is, if you could take a quiet beat and imagine your money as a creature, what is the first thing that comes to mind? It's always right. Don't overthink it.
Whenever I think about my money, I see it as, I don't know if you know those little suit spirits from the Studio Ghibli films. They're like the little black fuzzy things with little eyes.
Yes.
And and they come up that way for me because I have a relationship with money that is becoming more playful, but used to be very much so like me feeling like I needed to chase it. And then realizing that when you just stay still, they just like come to you slowly. And when you just like stay in your position, stay embodied, money comes to you on its own. It wants to hang out with you. It wants to be there with you. But the minute you start to like, your nervous system starts to freak out, they all scatter and run away from you and hide.
Totally. Right. Yeah, it's like the brain waves of like, yeah, animals will come to you when you're like in that calm
Yes.
state. Oh, that's lovely.
Yes. Yes.
I love that you said playfulness because
Yeah.
I think it's true. I think when we identify money and we start to have a relationship with it, it desires closeness and it desires a bit more light than we
Yes.
usually give it. Yeah.
It does. I've noticed money doesn't want us to make it our be all and end all. It doesn't even, it's like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to like have a good time with you,
I just want to help you.
and
I
get
just want to
things
be
done. But I just want to help. Yes.
just want to be closer. I want to play. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Well, Kyla, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I know we could talk forever. We'll link to everything in the show notes. And I
Yes.
know that I dress better and feel better about my body because of you. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
spreading this message to everyone.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
I love talking with that Kyla Brown. It makes me want to go right up to my closet and see how many of the essentials I have. I think I might have 20%. Thanks for listening to the Money Healing Club podcast. You can find resources, links, everything from this episode in the show notes below or at moneyhealingclub.com/podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I want to warmly invite you to the actual Money Healing Club. It's a place on the internet that is very special. It's where I spend most of my time. It's a membership and learning community with live financial therapy events, money co-working, tapping sessions, a private forum, and lessons for you to deepen your money healing process. It's the most comprehensive and affordable way to work with me and meet other money healers. You're not alone in this journey. Go to moneyhealingclub.com/club and use code podcast at checkout for half off your first month. Do you have a question or a topic about financial therapy or just living this life with money? I'd love to get your voicemail to be featured on a future episode of the podcast. Check it out at moneyhealingclub.com/podcast. You'll see a big orange button there where you can record from any device you're on. And you can be totally anonymous. We are in this together and I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.